Hey everyone, welcome to a new video, welcome to my channel. My name is Mike and today's video is going to be about my top 10 favorite eyeshadow palettes for the winter time. I've been seeing quite a few people doing this video and I did a fall version I think in September, and I thought it's like right smack the start of winter right now, officially anyways. Even though it doesn't really look like winter yet where I live, I think we're kind of gearing towards like perpetual fall here in the Netherlands, which is interesting. So not yet very cold over here for sure, but I definitely have my preferences when it comes to the winter time. I have a couple of very long-standing favorites that I was able to just whip up, and I'm pretty sure that loads of you are familiar with those. But I've got a couple of other ones that I wanted to throw in the mix. So that's what we're going to be doing in today's video. So let's get started. So let's start with the obvious. If you follow my channel, then you know that I would be mentioning this eyeshadow palette. This is the Too Faced White Chocolate Bar, and the Too Faced White Chocolate Bar is not only one of my favorite eyeshadow palettes for winter, it is one of my favorite eyeshadow palettes of all time, period. And this is a palette that a lot of people just didn't like, and I really enjoy mine, and that's because I have quite a fair complexion and I normally don't go for something this warm. I really don't. I prefer a more cool toned look. So these wintertime palettes, we could also dub this video my top 10 favorite cool toned eyeshadow palettes, because that's sort of what it turned into. Not quite, as you will see. Not quite. But yeah, this is a lovely, very light cool toned color story. So if you're anything deeper than a fair complexion, you will have trouble getting something like this to show up. However, for me, this has four, well actually this one and then these three are the mattes that I'm referring to. That is like the grade is like set up for me for like a basic eye. And then these two shimmers are really lovely. Exotica is really lovely too, and then you get two pops of pastel to go onto the lower lash line to add a bit of interest. And these are peaches that actually work on me. They are a little bit more pinky leaning, and that's why they work. And over here, this shade Cookie Dough is one of those mattes with glitter running through it, but because of that, it does blend quite smoothly, and this is a great transition shade on me as well. The only thing I could have really done without is that matte black, and these two shades I find a little unnecessary to have both of these like matte, light, creamy shades. But overall, this is one of my favorite palettes for the winter time because it is so fair. And we're getting there. I'm getting to the pasty stage again, and like I do every year for winter time, and that's when these things work. Sticking to Too Faced for a minute, because another really long-standing favorite is another cool tone palette, and that's their Bon Bons eyeshadow palette. Both of these, of course, have long since been discontinued, but this one, again, this is perfect if you want a little bit more depth and definition, but it still has everything that I want. Like this shade here, that like light gray, and then Cafe au Lait is like the best shimmer that has a huge dip. I also really like Almond Truffle in here. Sprinkles is like a really pretty inner corner highlight. I actually wish that Sprinkles would have been this shade, but oh well. It's not. We get it in a smaller pan. But yeah, this just has some really lovely neutral tones, and when I wear this, it tends to be the winter time for me. So that's why this one is perfect for winter, just perfect. And then we're gonna get another OG out of the way, and I'm not sure whether they're discontinuing this or not, because it seems to be, I'm not sure. Urban Decay Naked 3? I don't know, it's still listed on like different websites, so I'm pretty sure we're still okay. But I also need to get myself a backup, because this puppy is, again, one of my all-time favorite eyeshadow palettes. You can see how much of a dent I have in this shade right here in the middle called Trick. That is one I always go for, and in recent times I have really been going hard for Mugshot as like a one and done eyeshadow look. For me, it's really in these rosy taupey shades towards the end that make the palette for me. I never really go in with these lighter pinky shades. They're just not really my vibe. But I do have to say that Limit and Nooner are great complementary shades, like these two mattes, like this in the crease and that to blend it out. On my complexion, it works really well. And this is a little bit more pink toned, so I do really like this palette for sure. And again, I go for these kind of neutrals mostly in the winter time, but this is a year-round palette for me, really. because that trick shade is more of like a rose gold, which I like in the springtime. So this is definitely one that extends the season. I don't exclusively go for it in the wintertime, but I have been wearing it a lot in the wintertime, and it's just super, again, quite fair, cooler undertone. You catch my vibe. And then 2 more OG palettes left, and then we get into 5 that are newer to me that I also wanted to share with you. Zoeva On Tope. This has again been discontinued. I keep talking about discontinued palettes, but I just can't help it. In fact, the Zoeva website looked very empty the last time I checked it. Like, most of their palettes are gone. So I'm not sure what they have planned, but I'm kind of hoping that they're going to redo a lot of things, because that would be exciting. Because Zoeva has had the same palette selection for years, like absolute years. Like, this palette has been around for more than a decade. So I understand why they would do it, but it's a shame that it's gone. This is very monochrome. It's very taupe. Especially here, these 3 shades are all different renditions of taupe. This is like a purple with matte, like a matte with glitter kind of thing. And this plum is really nice too. I never really understood these 2 more like peachy shades in here, but they are very pretty. But what makes the palette for me is these 2 shades. They look like nothing in the pan. Like, just, they don't. But they're duochromes. And are they the kind of duochromes that, you know, like on Instagram, if you like move your finger, you really see the switch? No. They're not those kind of duochromes, but they're duochromes that are really great if you just want that pop of something interesting in the inner corner, or if you want to use them to top over any of these other shades to bring a bit more dimension to the look. These 2 are great. This one in the corner has a blue flip, and this one has a more of a pinky flip. So that's why I've always appreciated this palette. Zoeva have always had a tendency to put at least 1 or 2 duochromes in every single palette that they do, way before the duochrome, multi-chrome craze that everybody's been going on about. So Zoeva, still one of my favorite brands, and this is so, so perfect for the winter time. And then I was thinking, what else do I really like to wear in the winter time? Purpley shades, but not too purple, you know? I really like purples more so in the springtime, because it's just like that fresh sort of like, ooh, we've got spring and you get the flowers. And then I like truer purples. But with this, because it's more neutral and you do get some purple, I just thought this was perfect for the winter time. I do kind of discount these 2 shades at all times, but Volatile is a great like transition shade. I love Soul for that pop of something lavendery on the lower lash line, like these really softer, more pastely kind of shades on the lower lash line. I like wearing those more so in the wintertime than in the springtime for me, for sure. And I love the shimmers in here, especially Wild Child. That pink shade is really nice. And Celestial, but also Dazzling and Drama. This palette can give you a little bit more depth, a little bit more dimension. They're not as flat as some of the others. And this is definitely, you know, again, spring, summer, more like occasion wear. I would still go for this because it has so many intense shimmers. But I feel its color story is just really, really perfect for the fall time, yet without it being too icy. You know what I mean? I wanted to talk about some things that are newer to me, but that I have already tried. However, I have not gotten around to reviewing all of these on my YouTube channel yet, or on my blog. Some of these I have, and some of these I haven't. However, let's just start with the one that's going to hurt the most. And this is the palette that's going to break the cool tone train. Muerte by Melt. This is of course also discontinued. Sadly, it was limited edition. It's got a lot of warmth, and yes, it's got blues and teals and greens, but hear me out, they're not like super icy ones. But again, this part of the palette just screams, ooh, I'm digging my finger in here, but this part of the palette just screams winter to me. And then these reddish tones, I thought that they wouldn't work on my complexion, but then I figured out that these were more like wine toned kind of colors, and they were stunning on. So for me, the only shade I really could do without is this champagne shimmer. I would have liked that to either be more of a pink, just something a little bit more interesting and not so boring that goes with the rest of this stunning color story. But yeah, for me, this is a perfect like grungy, wintry palette, precisely because of the blues and the greens. But they're blues and greens without it being very light and icy looking, which is what I appreciate. If I want to go for something blue tone that is a little bit more light and icy looking, this one, BH Cosmetics Fairy Lights. And this is a palette that I kind of didn't like when I first tried it. This was limited edition for Christmas last year. It was their holiday release then. It's got super reflective packaging, so I do hope I'm not blinding you. It's got some really stunning blues, and it's got those pinks. It's got cool tones. It's got a little bit of warmth. The pinks is what really, really irked me about this palette, because only this one really shows up. The other ones just all pull the same on the eye, which I thought was a bit of a shame, but everything else in here is really nice quality, and you get a really stunning, like more steely kind of blue, which I love. It's almost like a silvery, whimsical kind of blue shade. Really, really stunning. I ended up writing a review about it the other day, and I was like, oh, but that is stunning for winter, and look at that glittery packaging. I cannot think of a color story that is more perfect for winter than this. It's very light, it's very sort of icy, icicle-like. This one, perfect for winter, perfect for winter. I could have picked other BH Cosmetics palettes, but either I want to feature those in another video very soon, or they are so new to me that I haven't tried them yet, and I don't want to talk about stuff I haven't tried for these kind of videos. So that's why you're gonna have to hang on. For instance, blueberry muffin. Anyone? I think that could be perfect for winter, but I've only just hauled it. I haven't tried it on my face yet. We're gonna hold off on that. Another palette that I think is going to be harder to get. Wow, I am kind of teasing you guys here, because there's a lot of palettes in here that may be difficult to find. Because I'm not sure if you can still get the Norvina. BH was limited, Melt was limited, this was limited, but may still be on the official Lime Crime website. This is the Venus Immortalis, and this palette came out last year, and cool tones color story of my dreams. It's such a great cool tone neutral eyeshadow palette, but with a little bit of interest. You get a taupe, you get a silver, but a silver that's not super duper like vibrant and icy. It's a little bit more like Cyborg and the Anastasia Sultry, but like that it's more like that grungy silver, that it's got a little bit of depth, which I prefer. You get a plum, you get a gray, you get a black, and then you do get these three shades. Cameo is the one that I could have done without, but it is a nice shade to blend some of these deeper shades into shades that are more workable on my complexion. So I'm not mad at it that it's in here, but these very light sort of like blendy shades, like, so I have so many of these creams and whatever, I only ever use these kind of shades to set my eyeshadow base with. Can we just stop? Just like blacks, creams, and whites. Can we like stop doing them? I don't necessarily need them. I'd have preferred this to be deeper, to be a better transition on me compared to these two. Because right now I only really get one transition, and that is Moth, and that is also quite light compared to these three shades. So that's the only thing. I would have liked this to be a better transition slash crease shade. But Moth is very, very pretty. And where I thought that Marble wasn't going to be something I'd like, it's a white with glitter. It's so, so pretty if you just dab it in the inner corner. It's very, very pretty. So that's a white I do like. I don't like a lot of whites, but that one I do like. And now we're going to get bougie, and I know you can still get these. Natasha Denona Glam. I bought this, I think, not the minute it came out, but I did buy this because I was just super curious. I generally like the Anastasia or the Natasha Denona formula, but I've only tried her bigger palettes because none of these smaller ones really came with color stories that appealed to me. And then she did this. I was eyeing up the Biba, but the thing that was holding me back is that the Biba is mainly mattes and quite warm toned and only has like 3 or 4 shimmers, whereas this is more cool tone leaning, say for this corner over here, mainly cool tones. Only 5 mattes, everything else a shimmer, and it just has a wonderful formula too. I have now tried it. I'm going to be featuring this palette in my next 10 palette review so that you can see the looks I did with this and everything else. But this was really, really perfect, and because you get so many cool tones in here, I just had to give this a mention. This is such a stunning palette for the winter time. Last but not least, Miss Pat McGrath. I fell in love with Pat McGrath in 2020. Like last year it was Natasha Denona, and this year it's Pat McGrath. So I got quite a few of her bits. She did a sale sometime over the summer, and this was 25% off, else I would not have picked it up. Of the entire Divine like Mothership palettes, I decided to go with number 1, and this is the Subliminal, because it is a cool tone color story, and I just really wanted to try her like matte formula first of all, and then also some of these more special shades, because I had only tried her special shades because I had one of the quads that I bought from her Christmas collection last year, but I'd never tried her mattes, I'd never tried her satins, and this, if you want to go icy, this guy for sure. I cannot think, like, this is just winter in a palette to me, really, because you get the blue, and this shade right here also has this bluey flip to it. This shade is like a pinky bluey purple, like, I'm not sure if we can see the shift right there. See, it almost pulls lavender. Isn't that great? And then with that cool tone and this one and the yes, Pat McGrath. And this wasn't this one of the first original ones that she came out with? I think it was one of her original palettes. So I'm super stoked to now own this. Again, have not yet reviewed this on this channel or anywhere else, but it is coming up again in my next 10 palette review, which I hope to be able to do for you sometime in January, because I am getting to that point where I have tried 10 palettes again, and these two are some recent ones that I got that I haven't shown yet, and I do really like them. So when it comes to my 10 perfect eyeshadow palettes for the winter time, these would be my picks. Let me know in a comment down below if there was anything in here that you had already seen coming, if you've been following for a while, or if there's anything here that you're like, oh yeah, that's a palette I hadn't thought of yet. So something a bit newer, but also now I look at the stack, quite a few that I'm like, they're all discontinued. No. So I definitely need to sort of like get some more palettes that are currently on the market so I can recommend them to you. But yeah, I really am curious what Zoeva will bring to the table in 2021. I hope they're going to redo some eyeshadow palettes. That would be fun to see what they come up with. I'm rambling, so let's cut the video off here. Thank you very much for watching the video, and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more by me. I have daily content coming to you until the new year, but usually I post 3 new videos a week. So I hope to see you in my next video. Bye bye!